everyone and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another 24/7 news report. The headline news today comes from Ben Jacobs of TalkSport, and it's that Everton are monitoring Alexander Mitrovic's situation at Al Hilal. The Saudi side are prepared to sell or loan Mitrovic but want a replacement first. West Ham and Manchester United are also interested. He's valued at £40 million. We run a poll on the Twitter at Everton Newsfeed about Mitrovic, Alexander Mitrovic to Everton. Leave us your thoughts. Where 37% of fans says they would take him, 15% of fans said that they would not, and 47% said that. 48% said that they wouldn't, with the 15% in the middle, saying that they wouldn't be too sure, and that's from around 2,100 votes. So thank you for everyone who did vote on that. Mitrovic is an interesting one. He's 30 years old now. I think he's veering in on 31 as well. 23 games in the Saudi League this season with 19 goals and 2 assists, 16 of those goals being non-penalty goals. Obviously, goal-scoring numbers are through the roof. In his last season with Fulham, it was 14 goals, 1 assist with 10 non-penalty goals. But we come into the problem with his age. He's not the most mobile striker to begin with in the first place, but again, age kicks in harder when you're a striker, I feel like. And apparently he's on a rumoured 480 grand a week with Al Hilal, and to be honest, I don't even think I'd be the only way I'd be happy with that is if we're playing at like 20% at a max of that, and that's at a max. I'm still not even sure on that, to be honest with you. I think Mitrovic is a really good striker. He proved it at his time in Fulham, but at the same time, I think we can get a player with just as much quality for probably cheaper wages, and a lot cheaper than 40 million if I'm being completely honest with you. So it's one of those where I think we should avoid this at all costs. I think Mitrovic is a good player, but I think any team that's even willing to pay 30 or 40% of Mitrovic's wages are a bit silly, to be honest, because although I think he's a good striker, I just don't think he's a striker that's worth 150, 200 grand a week, if I'm being honest with you. So it's one of those where hopefully we avoid this, but at the same time, we know what Everton are like, so it won't surprise me, but not a big fan of Mitrovic really at Everton. Sky Sports News have reported that Everton want to sign Liverpool winger Ben DOAK this summer. This is one that's been going around the rumour mill for a while now about Ben DOAK possibly joining. I believe Liverpool put a 30 million price tag on, and well, I'll get to my opinions on that in a second, but we also ran a poll on this. Ben DOAK to Everton this summer. Leave us your thoughts. 3,000 votes, close to 3,100, so thank you to everyone that did vote again. 51% of fans said that they would take him, 34% of fans said that they're not sure, and 15% said no. I've said this before, I think DOAK's a fantastic player, tons of potential, 3 goals, 7 assists in 24 matches for Middlesbrough, I believe, and then did suffer a hamstring injury. Did miss the 23-24 season with a meniscus tear, but at the same time, I'm not going to put too much impact on a freak injury. And the hamstring problems don't seem to be persistent. It's his hamstring and his knee. It's a different part of the leg. So it's one of those where I'm not going to put too much stock into those injuries. One's a freak accident and one's just... Every footballer gets hamstring tears. It just depends on the consistency of those. It's what's derailed Calvert-Lewin. But one isn't the end of the world as long as he's, given time to rest and recover properly, which he has been. But for £30 million, I don't think there's that much of a gap between him and a Tom Fellows, let's say, where Fellows I think could probably be available for closer to half that. I think DOAK's very, very talented. In being a former Liverpool player, won't really have any impact on me because he's not been there for long. He's a Celtic lad, really, not really Liverpool. He's come through Celtic's academy and then Liverpool snapped him up. So it's one of those where I'm not really too bothered about that link, and I don't think he's been there long enough to get a real affinity for the club, if I'm honest. So it's one of those where I'd definitely take him, not for 30 mil, and at the same time, I don't think Liverpool are going to want to negotiate with us, although they are having to probably sell, considering they want to bring in Kirkies. They've already brought in Frimpong, Wirtz, and now they've been made the favourites to sign Victor Gyökeres, so it's one of those where they're going to have to sell some players, and it's why I'm not surprised to see DOAK on that list. The next set of reports come from Joe Thomas, and it's that David Moyes is keen to build a squad around Jordan Pickford, Jared Brantwaite and James Tarkowski. Brantwaite is content at Everton and is appreciative of the opportunities given by the club. An offer of Champions League football could hold an appeal for Brantwaite, but only if Everton are offered a deal that is deemed to be serious. This really good news to hear. I'm not too sure about Tarkowski. I don't think he had the best season personally. I think it's been a little bit overrated, if I'm being honest. But the rest of his seasons at Everton have been fantastic. He's a great servant to the club, great leader. So I think it's one where naturally Moyes wants to build around a really good defence, one of the best in the league, and one that I do believe could be the best in the league if it's given fullbacks that aren't useless. So I think if we can get 2 competent fullbacks in, then we could see a real rebirth of Everton defensively to arguably be the best defence in the league. I think there's the talents there, and we've got really close the past 2 seasons. Jordan Pickford's finished second in Golden Glove twice, and I think if we can get a solid foundation around him with the fullbacks, I think it could be one where it is the best defence in the league, and he gets that Golden Glove, as I mentioned. So it's really good news. So we don't have to worry about bringing in a centre back to potentially replace Branthwaite, and if we do replace Branthwaite, we'll be getting a lot of money for him, because I anything less than 80 million I don't deem a serious offer. Some clubs may say he's not worth that. It doesn't matter what other clubs think. The only thing that matters is what Everton value him at, and at the end of the day, no one can argue with that, can they? They can not like it, but at the end of the day, that's how it works. Everton and West Ham are both battling to sign Burnley midfielder Josh Brownhill, according to West Ham news site Claret and Q. The Burnley midfielder is available for a free transfer after his Burnley contract expires this summer. Brownhill scored 18 goals in the Championship this season and grabbed 6 assists. This is a really interesting signing, because I've mentioned in the past that I'm not sure on Brownhill, but another really good season in the Championship, a really just dominant goal threat for Burnley, their biggest goal threat, and one of the top goal scorers in the entire division. It's hard to really doubt that, and available on a free. I don't think Brownhill's the calibre of player where he can demand massive wages. I think this would be a good signing, a real steal in midfield, willing to get stuck in, and I think he's a decent, definitely Premier League calibre player, and on a free I can understand why we'd be interested. I think a lot of it just depends, is he going to ask for a lot of wages, but I think on a free this is a hard transfer to turn down, because I do think Brownhill's still a good player. And the last bit of news comes from Pete O'Rourke from Football Insider, and that's that Brighton will demand to recoup their total investment on Matt O'Reilly if they are to sell him this summer. Brighton paid £25 million for the midfielder from Celtic, and David Moyes is a big fan. I think Matt O'Reilly's a fantastic footballer. 4 goal contributions in 11 starts for Brighton this season. Hasn't really been given a chance ever since his injury, really. But if we're going to look at his last full season of football, that was for Celtic, and where he grabbed 18 goals and 13 assists in his last full season for Celtic. Of course, the calibre of Scottish football has to be questioned, but I think O'Reilly is a fantastic footballer, was really good for MK Dons when he was there. Arguably Celtic's best player when he was there, and has still looked impressive when he's had the chance to play for Brighton. I think for 25 million, this is one we have to snap up, because it wouldn't surprise me if in 2-3 years time after playing for Everton he's deemed to cost 45-50 million. I think he's an absolutely fantastic player, has the work ethic to play in the system, really good at progressing the ball, great goal threat. I think he's one of those where he could perfectly fit into that Doucouré role, and I just think it's one where we have to consider it, because he's just a fantastic player, and I think the only reason Brighton are willing to sell is because they've got so much bulk in that area. I don't think it has anything to do with his injury. I just think it's a matter of fact that Brighton have got so many midfielders now that they are willing to sell, and maybe they want to invest and bring some players in as well, so they want to sell to make some more room to spend big, possibly, especially since there are rumours of players like João Pedro and Carlos Baleba leaving. We know they've been a talent factory for a few years now of getting players in on the cheap and selling them. But I think if Brighton ever want to push up the league more, they're going to need to bring in some of that top quality talent, and I think that's what they are going to want to do. We saw it a bit more last summer with players like Vifa and Yakuba Minter spending quite big money on them. So I think it wouldn't surprise me if they're looking to maybe offload some squad players to maybe buy that one big talent that could possibly push them into European contention. But that is all for this video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Everton Newsfeed, and follow me on Twitter at Callum Brannan3. And I'll see you all for the next video and or live stream that I am on.